Hello, beautiful beings. It's another gorgeous day here in the desert, and I want to take a couple of your questions. I also want to just kind of start this video by talking about spiritual awakening symptoms, and I hope it's not too windy for you guys. So there's a lot of symptoms that happen when you go through a spiritual awakening. And we've all been through these awakenings before. I mean, if you're here, this is definitely not your first rodeo. Not only have you had ego deaths and reawakenings in this lifetime many times over, despite your age, no matter how old you are, but I'm sure you've had many ego deaths and reawakenings in past lifetimes as well. And typically those awakenings end in persecution. They end in sacrifice. They end in basically you dying, right? Or sacrificing yourself for others, because that's very typical when we wake up in a society where no one else is awake, right? So I want to talk about spiritual awakening symptoms. Specifically, I want to talk about 5D symptoms, okay? And, you know, this is just a frequency. Entering into the fifth dimension is really just a frequency. And one of the things that a lot of people, myself included, have been experiencing in the past couple of months is breathing issues. Anyone else? Anyone else experiencing breathing issues? And also pay attention to the sky, because there's a lot of alien activity going on around here, and there's also a lot of military activity going on around here, so just keep your eyes on the skies. So breathing, it's been a big issue. The main issues with breathing are having issue catching your breath, waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to breathe, feeling like you have something heavy on your chest, and also like this feeling of rapid breathing. I don't know if any of you have had that, this rapid breathing. It's kind of like hyperventilation. And the reason why, so I had, before we came out to Joshua Tree, I had tons of breathing issues. I was waking up in the middle of the night, could be 1 a.m., could be 3 a.m., could be 12, depending on when I went to bed. And I would have massive amounts of breathing issues, and I would be extremely focused on my breath, feeling like I couldn't breathe properly or I couldn't catch my breath. And so finally the one night, this went on for probably 2 or 3 months, on and off. And finally the one night, one of my alien buddies, one of my guides, stepped in, because I'm like, what is this? What's happening? And he basically said that I was being trained on how to breathe properly. That's what he told me, okay? If any of you have been experiencing breathing issues, it means that you're actually ascending to 5D, all right? The craziest thing right now is that every spiritual awakening symptom is mirrored by some sort of negative projection of this reality. And I can't say that, you're experiencing breathing issues because you have a virus, right? And I can't necessarily say for each and every one of you that having breathing issues means that you're entering into 5D. I can tell you that it's all about perception, okay? So, right, when you get really excited, but you're kind of like so excited you get nervous, you know that feeling? You could also perceive that as anxiety. When you perceive the feeling of excitement as a negative thing, and you associate fear to it, all of a sudden you're having an anxiety attack. If you feel excitement and you associate love to it, all of a sudden you're just excited for the next step of life, right? So it all comes down to perception. You could be getting really sick right now, or you could be going through a spiritual awakening. It's really up to you. And typically, based on how you're perceiving something, is a pretty good indication of what you're actually going to be experiencing. If you're perceiving it as a spiritual awakening, it's gonna be most likely a spiritual awakening. If you're perceiving it as doom and gloom, as, sickness, as death, basically, well, you're creating it. That's what you're perceiving, okay? So specifically, people are going through spiritual awakening symptoms, but even more specifically, going through 5D awakening symptoms, which is how kind of ironic and hilarious is it that we've got something called 5G going on, which is the entirely opposite thing of 5D, right? And here we have it once again. We've got this really weird mirroring happening between high vibration and low vibration. I mean, I thought years ago the polarity was getting bad, right? Between high vibration and low vibration. I mean, years ago I would be walking downtown feeling like no one saw me. I actually ended up getting hit by a car once because I put a cloaking device around me and I said, let's just play with the realities. Let's just hop into a different dimension. Let's just see if anyone notices. And guess what? No one noticed because no one was on that dimension. Years ago, I thought that the polarity was getting intense, but now it doesn't even compare, right? We need to realize that every positive attribute of what's going on right now has a negative backside. And I would be a bad teacher to tell you that it's all going to be light and love all the time. I would be a bad teacher and a bad student to tell you that it should only be the focus of light and love, right? Or all 5D, all, interdimensional beings. They're all good. That's not the proper teaching. I encourage each and every one of you to deep dive into 5G technology, to deep dive into, the symptoms of the coronavirus, to deep dive into just questioning what we're being fed. I don't want you to just ignorantly believe that we're all going to this beautiful place of light and love, right? Because if you were to do that, then you're still just following. You're not actually just learning the lesson of understanding what it means to become a master. And let's talk about this concept, right? We've all gone through ego deaths. We've all gone through spiritual awakening, but to become a master is something different altogether. And for me, to be honest, it's kind of difficult to find these masters within this spiritual community. I've met a couple, for sure, which is incredible. And how I define becoming a master of this reality, and this isn't just this reality on this planet is a small mirror representation of many, many, many realities out there in the universe, right? If we master this, guys, we master light and dark out there in the universe. Like, this is the graduation planet, and I know that not all of you understand why, and you don't need to, because when I was told that this was a master planet, I laughed at interdimensional beings when they told me that this was a master planet, that alchemists and teachers and starseeds and ambassadors come to this planet to learn, to get their, master's certificate, their PhD. I laughed so hard. I said, show me. Show me the ambassadors that you're talking about. I mean, that was back in 2012. If they told me that now, 100% I would agree. With hands down, this is a master planet. And I understand, because I understand the perspective of everything. Not everything, but a lot of things. So just trust me when I say that you are in the master's program of your soul, which is huge. So to become, let's call it a student, right? A master and a student. We'll just call the master a teacher. To be a good student is to learn each subject individually so that you can understand it, apply it, and take action on it. That's to be a good student, right? To be a master is to dabble in all subjects simultaneously while not only practicing it, but teaching it. That's a master. And I believe that all of you are masters. I really do. I really, really do. I almost know this because there are 8 billion people on the planet, and I set an intention a long time ago that I was only going to connect with the teachers of this planet. I said, I don't want to just teach students, I want to teach teachers so that we can disseminate this information globally, right? Each one of you are a piece of this puzzle. Until I'm speaking to 8 billion people, I know I'm speaking to all of the teachers, or at least some of the teachers on this planet. So, to be a student, you learn one subject at a time. All light, all love, all interdimensionals, all mediumship, all tarot cards, all energy healing. Great. But to be a master, you step in to all of those modalities and all of your human shit. All of the emails you have to send, or the bills that you have to pay, or the kids that you have to take care of. The second that you're able to balance everything seamlessly without resistance is the time that you understand yourself as a master. And I know all of you will get there, and I know each and every one of you have already had snapshots of that. You've already seen aspects of your mastery, which is brilliant. It's incredible. Mastery level is through 2 mechanisms, which is light and dark, right? Every single aspect of your reality can be broken down between these 2 polarized states. And there's so many words to associate with both light and dark, right? Light, high vibration, good vibes, high dimensions, good energy, I don't know, light, I don't know. Love, right? Harmony, oneness, da-da-da-da-da. Darkness, fear, judgment, doubt, resentment, attachment, jealousy, service to self, ignorance, right? All these things. And so ultimately every action, every thought, every movement that you make throughout your day is either done in fear or love. Okay? And it's pretty simple when you break it all down like that. Once again, to be a student, you are only ever in fear. You are only ever depressed and anxious and greedy and attached and resentful and jealous. You are only ever that state. To be a student, you are only ever in light and love and peace and togetherness and animals and beauty. Once again, surprisingly, that is to be a student, okay? To be a master is seeing both sides of every aspect of every single moment of this reality, of both fear and love simultaneously, to see both sides and to have the ability, the capacity, the awareness, the patience to simultaneously, consciously sit in the middle of them until you feel ready to make a choice. And then you dabble. You dabble in fear, you dabble in love. So one of the biggest misconceptions for a student to have on a teacher or a master is that, obviously, first of all, they know it all, which they don't, no teacher does. And secondly, that they're meant to be all love and all peace and all harmony and all good vibes all the time. If you expect that of your teacher, then you're disillusioning yourself and you're perpetuating the reality of always being the student. Because you're always expecting what you're trying to gain, which is that light and love place. To be a master is to dabble in both. For me to be a good teacher, I need to tell all of you when I have a shitty day, when I didn't get a good sleep, when I was woken up by vivid dreams. That's for me to be a good teacher to all of you, to show you that I'm dabbling in both realities. I'm dabbling in both vibrations. I'm playing with the 3rd density as much as I'm playing with the 5th density, and recently really been playing with the 4th density. Okay? That's to be a good teacher. And it's so funny because a couple of nights ago, I had this download of being a master teacher, and I've known this before, but it just came through so clearly. I swear, I picked up my phone, it was like 2 a.m., had this message, I wrote it all down, it was so profound, and then today when I'm like, I want to talk about that thing, and I go to look at my notes in my phone, it wasn't there. Which honestly is kind of ironic, and it's the definition of hopping in and out of different parallel dimensions. Maybe today I woke up in a lower vibrational frequency, therefore waking up at 2 a.m. and writing that note never actually existed in my current state of reality. So what are you going to do? Are you going to question it? Yes, you should. But essentially, let it go and understand that whatever needs to come out, whoever you need to be, is going to just be there in the moment. The more attachment or expectation or resistance we give in every moment, and really this expectation of we need to be in this state of being or this state of being. We need to be this upstanding citizen or this loyal individual. The more we attach ourselves to that, the more we're going to lead ourselves into states of disappointment, which is essentially going to anchor in our vibration into a lower frequency. So I hope that this message came to all of you at the right time. A little reminder that you're not a student. Do not play the game of being a student, because you're only undermining your own power. And with that, I hope you all have a beautiful day. I might come back on later and do a little Q&A, who knows? Stay tuned. Keep up the good vibes. It's a gorgeous day here. Hopefully it's a gorgeous day over there, and if not, make it one, because you get to choose your state of reality. Bye for now.